on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy Boulanger, and up next on the GM, we're going to be discussing where the Baltimore Ravens are currently after the most recent day of training camp practice. Do me a quick favor: hit like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you get updates when we upload new content. Let's go. So, as we consider, where we are right now in training camp, I think what we're watching is the Baltimore Ravens become more balanced. And what I mean by balanced is you're seeing good, solid offensive production, and you're beginning to see consistent defensive production. Um, the offense kind of fell off the cliff on Saturday, had a day off, and then they came back with 2 good days of practice where they seemed to be ahead of the defense. A lot of production from the wide receivers, a lot of production from Lamar Jackson, a lot of production from the running backs getting involved, a lot of production from the tight ends getting involved in the offense. And the offensive line seemed to, hold up a lot better. And of course, yesterday, some highlights from yesterday was that the defense, man, stood up, and they were physical, specifically Roquan, Patrick Queen, and Kyle Hamilton. They were physical. They were playing smash mouth. They were knocking the ball out. They were flying around the field, and I don't know if the defense just said, "Hey, look, we've had enough." I don't know if the defense had been reading the news headlines on how the Baltimore Ravens offense had been, pretty dominant the first 2 days. I'm not sure, but what I do know is that Roquan, Queen, and Hamilton stood up and said enough, and they showed up in a big way yesterday. And what that says is that the offense um, had the lead. The defense stood up and took the lead back, and so what we're seeing is kind of a tennis match of sorts where they're lobbying back and forth. And I'm not saying guys are taking days off or anything like that, but I think that as we saw the Baltimore Ravens offense become more comfortable, develop more continuity, their productivity flourished. And then when the defense, settled in and said, you know what, let's show these guys when it comes to being physical what things really are going to be like. And then they showed up and pretty much shut the offense out. The real highlight from yesterday was Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is still joysticking out there. You know, um, in a basketball context, it would be called having a guy on skates, and that's what he's been doing all off season and in training camp, and that's what he did yesterday to Marlon Humphrey. So Zay Flowers had the lone highlights from yesterday, and so I really think that that's big time because Zay doesn't have to come in to this year and have to be the guy. I think he will be a guy and a major part, but because he has such an elite kind of skill set, as we're seeing in training camp, I think that he'll make plays just because other guys will demand attention. Mark Andrews will demand attention. OBJ will demand some attention. Rashad Bateman got back on the field yesterday. He'll demand some attention. I still would like to see them slow walk Rashad Bateman. I'm even, again, like I've said before, I'm even okay if he doesn't play in all of preseason. And if he's not 100%, I'm okay with them shutting him down for the first 4 games. I just want Rashad Bateman to be 100% when he gets on the field because that Liz Frank injury can certainly be tricky. But it's good to see and hear him back on the field. And so he adds another key to that offensive cog in the context of a weapon. And so I think that we're going to have some playmakers. I think we're going to have plenty of playmakers. Um, and so I just think that if they keep building, keep developing continuity, we don't suffer any kind of strange freak accidents injury wise. I think that this offense could be good. Again, I don't think that they'll be fully what they are until all things are live and they get, 3 to 4 weeks of ball in to really see what that offensive line looks like against live competition on a full game scale, how the receivers respond to press coverage on a full game scale. And so I think that I think the offense has a lot of potential. I think this defense has the potential to be elite. I think we have some elite position groups, which I've mentioned before, but I think the whole defense has the potential to be elite, especially if we figure out the pass rush and the cornerback situation. Um, so I think that's what we're seeing. I think we're seeing the Baltimore Ravens round into more of a balanced team, uh, where elite competition is going to sharpen elite competition. So my hope is that we avoid injury, and going into this week's preseason game, I don't want to see any of the key components. I don't want to see any of the key components to the offense or the defense play. We already know what Roquan and Patrick Queen can do. I don't need to see them. We already know what Michael Pierce, Metabuke, Broderick Washington, who got his money yesterday. Congratulations to Broderick Washington. I think that's a good, solid deal for him, and I'm glad they got that done. Um, I don't need to see any of those guys. I don't need to see Marlon Humphrey. I've seen him for 6 or 7 years. I don't need to see Marcus Williams. I don't need to see Kyle Hamilton. Not in his first preseason game. I don't need to see any of those guys at all. I want to see uh, some of the guys who are fighting for a roster spot. I would like to see some of the guys who are surprisingly um, emerging in off-season workouts. I don't need to see Gus, which he left the field yesterday early. Don't know what kind of injury that is. That's always a question mark, man. When guys walk off the field with the trainer, especially when Gus is probably the number one running back right now. But that's kind of an unidentified injury right now. So we'll see what that sounds like today when the report comes out. But I don't need to see him. I don't need to see Ronnie Stanley, Morgan Moses. I don't need to see Tyler Lindelof. I don't need to see any of our guys. I want to see guys like Falele. You know what I'm saying? I want to see what he does against that nice defensive line from the Philadelphia Eagles. I want to see Ben Cleveland. You know what I'm saying? Can he impress? Um, I want to see who's going to be that backup center. I want to see Salah get in against competition. I want to see. I don't need to see Makari. We already know what he is. I want to see Keaton Mitchell. I want to see if against full live competition, if he is what he is. Um, I don't need to see Odell. I don't need to see Zay. I don't need to see any of those guys, because this first preseason game is just going to be some young guys who are trying to make the NFL roster. Um, that's going to be them on display. And so I think we have enough guys to where we don't have to play any major pieces. And so that's what I'm hoping for. Again, the goal is to avoid injury and walk into week one uh, 100% healthy with 11 starters on offense and 11 starters on defense. Um, Stay tuned, man. I got a video coming up on players to watch. It'll probably come out tomorrow before Saturday's preseason game against Philadelphia. So stay tuned for that, man. But that's all I got for you today, man. Not a lot of news, which is good. No news is good news. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention, I don't think the other day in my last video, Clowney was in the building. Um, a cornerback out of Florida State was in the building. There was some news that a couple of other players worked out for the Baltimore Ravens, and so looks like we might be adding some pieces. Maybe not before this first preseason game, because I don't know if a guy could come in and learn and perform, but we'll see. But at this point, man, I think Clowney is the best edge rusher available. I don't see a trade happening, and I still think they need that veteran depth on this team with Tyus Bowser out right now. Um, David Ajabo uh, has been in and out, so I know that Clowney hasn't been. Me and Tanja had a little conversation about Clowney, and he may not be. Um, what's the word? He may not have been a total team guy in the past, but I think at this point in Clowney's career, uh, he still has uh, pedigree at the outside linebacker position. Uh, he still can be a force against the run, and I think he can add some situational pass rush, which may be an upgrade over what we saw from JPP last year. And I think we just need another veteran presence. I think at this point, also in Clowney's career, he is what he is. You know what I'm saying? It's probably time to stop expecting Clowney to live up to that number one um, uh, status. I think he could be a situational pass rush, a depth piece, and a guy who could spell some of the young guys and maybe even teach some of the young guys something. So listen, I'm your guy Boulanger. This is the GM, and I'm out.